Golden State Warriors just got the worst news that they have gotten all season. It's regarding this man, De'Anthony Melton, who has become a starter for the Golden State Warriors through the first 13 games of the season. We're going to unpack everything that is about him as far as what's next for Golden State on today's show. But before we do, this is why you subscribe to Golden State Warriors Today by Chat Sports. When Warriors news goes down, we got you guys covered. And we're on the road to 70,000 subscribers here at the channel. So hit that sub button, and we'll get on with the big-time De'Anthony Melton injury update. The bad news has not gotten worse. No, it's turned for the worse as De'Anthony Melton has apparently torn his ACL. We thought it was a sprain, but regardless, De'Anthony Melton is now out for the remainder of the 2024-25 NBA season, and he will undergo ACL surgery. And he is on a $12.8 million contract for one season with your Golden State Warriors. This is the worst news yet for Golden State. Charania breaking the news here just minutes ago. I got you this video very, very quickly after this news came out because I was here on a late night at work. But unfortunately, Shams gave us the worst news yet. De'Anthony Melton will undergo season-ending ACL surgery. And this is so weird, right? Because 8 days into De'Anthony Melton's injury timeline here, we still had no answer on how much time he would potentially miss this season. And we heard it was a sprained ACL upon the initial injury. Now, after seeking a couple other opinions, I guess we know that De'Anthony Melton more likely tore his ACL and will not see time in a Golden State Warriors uniform for the rest of his one-year contract. And this is unfortunate, man. This is the worst news ever. Steve Kerr was talking about this earlier today, or excuse me, last night, when he said De'Anthony Melton had been seeking other opinions. We've really been evaluating everything, just trying to get him the best advice he can get. And we're obviously very concerned. We're really taking our time and making sure De'Anthony gets all of the advice he needs. And that's unfortunate, right? I was going to do a video earlier today about this little small quote that, Steve Kerr said. And I was going to tell you, I'm really concerned. The fact that we didn't get an answer over a week after De'Anthony Melton got injured means that this was more likely going to be weeks, if not months, not days, and he would miss more than likely a good chunk of the Golden State Warriors season. And he's already missed games so far this year. De'Anthony Melton has been fantastic when he's healthy, but he's not been healthy more often than not. I mean, he's been playing pretty fantastic so far this year for Golden State, but it's one of those things where, he just can't seem to stay healthy in his career, whether it be an ACL like we've seen today, whether it be the back injuries that he's had lingering so far through his short NBA career. I mean, the guy's only 26 years old, and he's already seeing a plethora of injuries across his body and types of injuries that you do not want to see for extended periods of time. And it's so unfortunate because he was going to be such a valuable piece of Golden State moving forward, right? Steve Kerr trusted him early on. I mean, I saw a rumor or a report that came out a couple of days ago that Steve Kerr was given the first 30 days of the first 30 games, I believe, of the NBA season to figure out the starting lineup and figure out what lineups would mesh together and work best together for Golden State to be its most successful this season. And he found out pretty quickly on that De'Anthony Melton could be the starting shooting guard and would be the starting shooting guard moving forward when, of course, he was on the floor for Golden State because he can handle the ball. He can help Steph Curry work off of the ball. He can defend the other team's best guard, best scoring guard on any given night. And he was putting up really, really solid numbers once he saw minutes in that starting lineup. I mean, through the first two games as a starter that were big-time matchups against OKC and Dallas, he had fantastic numbers, 16.5 points a game, 7 boards, 3 assists, 2 steals, and only 3 turnovers. Yeah, he was playing really, really well, 3-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio, and shooting the ball super efficiently. 7 of 14 from three-point range, 64% true shooting, and he was playing elite defense. He also plays fantastic with Stephen Curry. This was a pairing that Steve Kerr loved early on. You could see that as early as the preseason. Shout out Warriors Muse on Twitter here. He said Steph and Melton on their first floor together, 141 offensive rating. I'm struggling to read this because that is unfathomable. That would shatter the number 1 spot in the NBA right now. A 99 defensive rating. That would be the best in the NBA right now. A plus 42 net rating, 2 wins, 0 losses, and both of their numbers are fantastic when they're on the floor together. This is a devastating blow to Golden State. How do you replace De'Anthony Melton? It's not going to be easy. The Warriors lost a starter here for the remainder of the season. This is not something that we can take lightly. And this is not something that's going to be easy to replace and have the similar success that you see on your screen right now. De'Anthony Melton and Steph Curry look like the best of teammates, but unfortunately, we're not going to see that for the remainder of this year. Show some love to De'Anthony Melton in the comment section, man. Um, this is some of the worst news that could have happened all year. De'Anthony Melton was honestly one of, if not my favorite free agent pickup for Golden State this season, and he was going to be pivotal moving forward. I could have seen him, potentially be a part of this group for the next 3-4 seasons and really built upon what he and Steph had started to do. But I don't know, his next season or multiple seasons is now in jeopardy because he's injured again. Show him some love. Hopefully he gets well soon and bounces back from this injury. Type those 8s down in the comments section. Next, we're going to talk about Steph Curry. And he had some comments about the state of his career right now and why he's playing the game of basketball and his pursuits. And kind of coinciding with that, who's got to step up now that De'Anthony Melton is shelved for the rest of the season? But first, I got to give a huge shout out to today's sponsor, Prize Picks. Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports partner. And I love Prize Picks. I was a customer way before they were even a sponsor at Chat Sports because it's so fun. And it's so easy to win real money in real time. Over 10 million active members. And you can get $50 in your account for free when you use our promo code CLNS and place your first $5 entry. How do you place an entry? So simple. Pick 2 or more players in a projected stat lineup and just pick more or less, whether it's rebounds in basketball, goals in hockey, fantasy points in football. There's so much to choose from. And I have a lineup in Prize Picks for you guys right here. And it's one that is pretty unique that I'm going to be following all season long because it's season-long basketball projections. I got Steph Curry to have more than 26.5 points per game this season. Now, with De'Anthony Melton out, he's probably going to have to get a couple more buckets just naturally. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. #1 overall pick, Zachary Rizachet. I was a little low on him. He's proven me a little bit wrong so far. I had less than 10.3 points per game. And then Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. The Thunder got to get it together. They've played pretty average so far over the last couple of games. And Shai has been pretty mediocre in those efforts. But you can tail my picks. You can fade my picks. Just do it at Prize Picks. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Use that promo code CLNS to get $50 in your account when you place your first $5 entry. CLNS. Prize Picks. Run your game. So what really interested me about what Steph said yesterday when he was on the NBC Sports Bay Area's podcast, Dubs Talk, he was talking about what was really driving him to play basketball at this point. What was his main goal? Said the 5th ring. Honestly, it's the only thing I'm really playing for at this point. He was talking about accomplishment-wise. He did say that he still loves the game of basketball. He still loves figuring out how to pull out wins night in and night out. That still gets him up and gets him going every single day. But this is interesting because Steph really is prioritizing a championship right now. And I'm not going to lie to you, especially after this injury now, I'm not so sure that I even thought this before. I don't think Golden State can win a ring with this current group as constructed right now. And losing a starter in De'Anthony Melton, a guy you were going to rely upon to play potentially close to 30 minutes a night, he's gone now. I mean, yeah, Golden State's at the top of the Western Conference right now, or near it, but they don't really have that elite star power, and they're quickly losing depth here. I mean, Kevon Looney's missing games, Brandon Podziemski's missing games. I know those are illnesses; they're going to be fine. But now De'Anthony Melton's out for the season, and you see other guys on the injury report popping up. Steph Curry's constantly on the injury report with the knee bursitis, whatever he's got going on. Kyle Anderson's missing games. Like, the depth is being tested, and you're getting hurt. I'm not so sure, as currently constructed, even with everybody healthy, Golden State can win a ring because they just don't have the top-end talent outside of Curry. And obviously Draymond, but he just doesn't provide you enough scoring in that regard. So what does Golden State look to now? With De'Anthony Melton out, I mean, a guy who you were going to rely upon to give you 13-plus points a game or more on some nights. Do they make a trade? I don't know necessarily who you can even make a deal for at this point. I mean, if I was to even think about a trade, that would be something like I would address in the front court, which has been pretty poor for Golden State. I think they must make a trade now with this De'Anthony Melton injury news. But, man, you got to see some uptick from some guys that really have had some lackluster starts to the NBA season. And, honestly, the time could not be more now for this guy right here, Brandon Podziemski. The role that De'Anthony Melton was going to play for this Golden State Warriors team is more often than not, he was going to have the ball in his hands when Golden State initiated their offense and started sets up. Brandon Podziemski, that's something that he's been entrusted to do, something that he's been thought of as the next point guard to lead the next era of Golden State basketball after Steph Curry, to run the show. He hasn't been able to do that so far. He's been not shooting the ball well. Yeah, he can make a fancy, flashy pass here and there, and he makes right decisions, and he puts his body on the line. But, man, Like, I'm gonna need to start seeing some stats, man. I hate to be a box score watcher in that regard, but I do watch the games, and I don't see Brandon Podziemski participating enough offensively to warrant him being out there on the other end because he's not a good defender. He's a great effort guy, but I need to see more from Brandon Podziemski, especially with this De'Anthony Melton injury news, because you're going to naturally play more minutes on a nightly basis. And you know who's going to see more minutes on a nightly basis as well as Gary Payton II, GP2. De'Anthony Melton was your best point of attack defending guard who also provided a ton for you on the offensive end. I mean, I'm still sick about Gary Payton intercepting Steph's pass to Lindy Waters for that game-tying three-pointer a couple nights ago against the Clippers. Like, Gary Payton II, I got to see more from you offensively. You can't just be some guy who's running the dunker spot. I mean, yeah, for what he gives you on the positive end, he's fantastic. He is the best point of attack defender on Golden State. But he's just such a liability on offense. Like, he's going to play more now. Spacing's going to be pretty weak. He's not the most reliable three-point shooter. Got to step up, Gary. Got to hit your shots when they're given to you. Also, Moses Moody. Is this finally his time? Is Steve Kerr finally going to give him more run? I'm not so sure. Like, you would assume, right? But Moses Moody has not seemed to play consequential minutes so far through the first 13 games of the season. I mean, sometimes he's playing in the early fourth quarter, but other than that, I mean, you don't see Moses Moody down the stretch. Will you see that now? Will he be featured in some starting lineups now with De'Anthony Melton out? That's going to be a big question mark as well. Will there be a consistent starting lineup for Golden State going forward? Is Moses Moody going to be in that lineup ever? Only time will tell, but I'm not so sure that Moses Moody is the player that we all thought he was. Steve Kerr doesn't believe in him. I'm not so sure that I do. But you know who I do kind of believe in? Lindy Waters III. I hope he's getting more time, more burn as the rest of the season goes on, and naturally he will. He was thought of as somebody that would not be in the rotation as the season began. He has seen rotation minutes as players have gone down, especially De'Anthony Melton over the first couple of games. He's going to see more minutes now. I'm actually glad for that, too. I want to see the development of Lindy Waters over a season. If Golden State's not going to make a deal anytime soon, like, we got to think about prioritizing development. Guys like Brandon Podziemski and Jonathan Kuminga and Lindy Waters III. Like, we know Steph wants to win a title, so I don't know what Golden State's. They're playing this weird gray area game right now where I don't know what they want to do. Do they want to make a trade or they want to develop? For the time being, we got to develop and we got to keep winning games. So these guys got to step up. And I think Lindy Waters is going to step up to the plate. I believe in Lindy. What do you guys think? Who must step up the most for Golden State in De'Anthony Melton's absence and overall as they now get tested more with their depth? I mean, is Golden State one of the more deep teams anymore in this league? Only time will tell. Got a big game against the Hawks in a couple of hours. Dyson Daniels, one of the best defenders in the game at the guard position. We'll see if they can get some buckets on him in the Atlanta Hawks. But with that being said, make sure you are subscribed to Golden State Warriors Today by Chat Sports. We're going to be bringing you Golden State Warriors content all season long like nobody else on YouTube. When they make moves, when news goes down, we got you guys with the video. So hit that big red sub button. Join us all season long. We're on the road to 70K. We'll see you in the next one. Let's go Dubs.